This episode of Brokerage in Motion is brought to you by Mass Mutual Strategic Distributors.
Hello and welcome to Brokerage in Motion, your one-stop guide for everything happening in independent distribution. I'm Katie Fehlinger. In industry headlines, life insurance policy sales are showing some signs of a comeback. According to NAILBA, the number of U.S. retail life insurance policies sold increased 4% in the first quarter of 2023. That's the highest policy sales growth in more than 2 years. LIMRA states that 61% of the total policy growth came from whole life and term sales, driven primarily by small to mid-sized companies. Meanwhile, the publicly traded U.S. life insurers Moody's Investors Service Rates reported a slight aggregate decrease in operating profitability during Q1. This as they position themselves for significant uncertainty in the markets for the remainder of the year. The main headlines in Q1: stabilized profitability with flat operating income and higher investment income. High annuity rates continue to boost demand for interest-sensitive insurance products, and commercial real estate and banking exposure are top of mind. In other news, a study from Allianz Life found that planning for retirement is a big challenge for Americans. 56% of Americans surveyed considered financial crises as a permanent part of their retirement planning. 46% were forced to reduce or stop saving for retirement, and nearly 40% admit their retirement strategy has derailed, and they're unsure when or how they'll get it back on track. Finally, a recent survey found Americans who already own annuities or other products that provide a guaranteed source of lifetime income love the idea of buying more annuities. The American Council of Life Insurers sponsored the survey of more than 1,000 U.S. retirement savers between age 45 and 65. The survey found income annuities are especially popular with those who make over $100,000 per year. The results may mean consumers who already have guaranteed retirement income might be better annuity prospects. Right now, our IDY segment, where we shine the spotlight on the people in the profession and learn their why. This NAILBA member has devoted his professional path to the service of others, but that wasn't always his why. In fact, it's changed quite a bit over the years. Take a look.
I always knew I wanted to do business. I just didn't know what type of business and what industry.
James Wong figured it out as he went along. Initially, getting his license and an internship helped him land in insurance, but his reasons for pursuing it, his why, kept changing.
It's had 5 different iterations. And so I think when you say what's changed, I think I've changed the most.
In the beginning, James's reasons were more surface level. He wanted experience. Then he simply wanted to make a living. Eventually, it became more internal, and imposter syndrome started to set in.
My why changed from making money to then proving that I was worth it, able to be in this industry amongst these great people. And NAILBA was a very good spot to be able to size yourself up in some sense, right? And it challenged me. It gave me a vision to say I can, try to aspire to be like them one day and take my own course.
Forging his own path. An opportunity made possible for James by his parents, who both immigrated to the U.S. when they were young. His mother from Australia, his father from Hong Kong.
They met, got married, had my brother and me, and so we're both Chinese American.
And they wanted their children to be able to decide their own futures. But James struggled, knowing his chosen career path was risky.
I was deeply embarrassed to join the industry, knowing that my friends and my family all chose a different path than what I did. And I second-guessed myself. Typically, you go down a path where maybe there's more stability and there's more upward mobility, structure there. That wasn't my story. During the time, I saw an opportunity to not just build as a retail agent, but to build a business. And I think that got lost on my parents a bit.
James wanted his family to be proud. And he remembers a particularly difficult conversation he had with his father as they drove to lunch one day.
It was a 20-minute drive, but it was one of the most awkward 20 minutes. I already know going into it that I feel like potentially I'm feeling like a failure to them, to what their expectations were. I'm a year and a half in. I wasn't making a lot of money. And my dad, he looks over at me while he's driving. He says, "You're not making much money, are you?"
It put James on the defense. At the same time, he knew his dad was right.
What he was saying was accurate. I wasn't making a lot of money, and it was very hard. It was difficult. I don't think he communicated the best way, but his heart was, I hear you, I see you.
And that conversation helped James realize that, in fact, he had lived out exactly what his parents hoped for him.
It was finally understanding that my parents immigrated to the States for more opportunities, of which it was fulfilled. I was able to fulfill that because I got to choose to go down a path that was unconventional.
With a weight lifted, James's why transformed again to build for the next generation.
This business is great for my kids one day. While at the time there was many people that would say, I've got 5 more years left, I'm looking at this 20 to 40 years out. Could this be something I build and transition to my kids? That way they would have the opportunities and the ability to find a role within this great industry.
James credits much of his success to his mentors, like Scott Teets, with whom he worked closely at Partners Advantage, a Gallagher Company, and many others. Now, with life lessons over 2+ decades, James believes he's found the why that's going to stick for him, to serve others.
When you think about the audience, where my heart's at for the agency owner entrepreneur, that's our NAILBA membership. This is where entrepreneurship meets practicality, meets reality. A business model needs to exist for a business to continue to thrive. And this is where people get their ideas. This is where people fine-tune their ideas and thoughts. And it's such a neat, giving community. And so to be a part of it is amazing.
For James, it's daily motivation.
It changes your mindset when you know what you're doing, what you're waking up to go do, and you become just a little bit more effective.
We're going to take just a short break. Don't go anywhere. There's more Brokerage in Motion coming up.
First time here at NAILBA, and I'm very impressed by what I saw so far. So it's meeting all the carriers and the different competitors on the market. Basically, I didn't know that the market was that big. I met a lot of new people, understand what they're doing, learning from them as well. I loved Billy Bean. His keynote, he was awesome. I learned a lot. I didn't know much about baseball, but the way he explained how we built the team, all the pain points he had to go through, and how we overcame these pain points, I mean, it was awesome. And I enjoy every single moment of it so far.
What happens if you ever need to miss work for a long period of time?
Why would I miss work?
I don't know. You could sprain your ankle, throw out your back,
Get hit by a school bus.
or a regular bus,
Get kicked by a horse.
Fall off a ladder.
bathtub mishap,
Polio,
Boating accident.
Stuck by a fork.
rabies.
Wolves.
scurvy.
Talk to us about disability income insurance today. Feel comfortable about tomorrow. Mass Mutual.
And right now I am joined by the president of Brokerage and executive vice president at Finseca, Dan Labert. And Dan, NAILBA 42, it's coming up in the not too distant future. And registration is also about to open up, right?
Yes, exciting, right? The NAILBA annual meeting returns again. People are wondering, where did it go? Did it go away because of the merger? Nothing happened, right? Everything we promised is happening, and registration will open July 17th. So save your calendars, register 2, 3, 5, 10. Register how many people you want to register, but the annual meeting is ready to go November 1st through the 3rd in Hollywood, Florida. July 17th, registration opens.
Very exciting stuff. And of course, the NAILBA annual meeting always brings it. We can always count on inspirational and motivating keynotes. We can always count on unparalleled, opportunity to connect, and the list goes on. But it always manages to bring something new too. So what can we expect this year that's maybe different from previous annual meetings?
Well, let me just first touch on, I know who the keynotes will most likely be. It's exciting. I did this last year when we recorded Brokerage in Motion, getting ready for the annual meeting, and I said it was going to be big, and it was. I'm telling you again, it's going to be big. So that's exciting. So that's the consistency. The consistency is there. But when we merged with Finseca, we talked about enhancing our professional development, increasing our professional development, looking for ways to accelerate a member's business. This year, there'll be upwards of 10 breakout sessions. So the breakouts are returning. It's been a while since we've had them. There will also be a special Women in Brokerage reception, and I should say session and reception. It will take place on day one of NAILBA. That will be added to the schedule probably by the time you go online and look. But apparently that was something that was done for many years prior to my arrival at NAILBA. Obviously, it disappearing, I have nothing to do with, but Tori Van Duzen Rose, the chair of NAILBA and the brokerage community, and she's chair of the brokerage advisors. They're bringing that back. There's a lot of interest, especially with the way the marketplace is changing. So we're excited. Women in Brokerage is back at the brokerage meeting.
You know, as we look forward to the next couple of months, there is going to be things that continue to roll out. So as we go through summer, what should members expect to see leading up in these final months until the annual meeting?
Well, we always get this question. I know you get this question. I've received this question, especially when we're going through those ID20 awards that are featured during the Moore's dinner. And the ID20 awards the nominations or submissions will be available starting July. They will run through September. So there's every opportunity for someone to submit that trailblazer, that person who keeps the trains running on time, that innovator. And obviously then we have a committee that goes through it, and we'll announce the awards in October, celebrate them in November. But this summer, roughly July through mid-September, the ID20 awards submission nomination process will begin.
Sounds good. Great information as always, Dan. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie.
That is going to do it for this episode of Brokerage in Motion. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
This episode of Brokerage in Motion is brought to you by MassMutual Strategic Distributors. Meet client needs with diverse solutions designed for flexibility, protection, and growth. MMSD is built for your business.